When did I decide to become an architect? I was at the University of Utah, and I was thinking I was going to be an engineer, and I didn't like that, and I didn't do very well in the math. And I took a class in the history of architecture, and I was just fascinated. And I don't know when that was, probably about 1965, 68, something like that. I enrolled in architecture school. Bob Bliss was the dean at that time. I don't even think it was a professional school then. I graduated from the University of Utah in 1971. I was in the last group of people who got a bachelor's degree in architecture. 5 years of architecture, we got a bachelor's degree. Wow. And then I just decided, well, I guess I better go look for a job. I went to San Francisco because that's where I wanted to go and work. And I spent a number of days in San Francisco looking up every architect I could find, and nobody had any work, and they were all telling me about how they had just let X number of people off. And so that didn't go anywhere. I came back to Salt Lake City, and I decided there is only one firm in Salt Lake City that I really would like to work for, and that was Richardson and Christopher. I loved the work that they did. I had been up to see Snowbird beginning to go together, and I had seen some of their other buildings, and I knew Jim Christopher because he taught a class at the university. So I walked in there, no resume, nothing. I had some photographs of some projects I had done in school, and I said, I want to work for you. He said, I'll get back to you. Jim Christopher said, I'll get back to you. And he talked to a friend who I think we all know, named Stan Crawley, who taught structures at the University of Utah. And Stan Crawley said, Myron Richardson, he's a pain in the ass, but I think you should hire him. That's how I got the job. Richardson and Christopher is the only place I ever worked as an architect. I spent my entire career there, kind of working up through the ranks, and eventually I took over the place. Jim Christopher was one of the truly finest people I've ever known. He was nice, he was kind, he was dedicated, he believed in architecture, but he also believed in people. And his theory that he taught me was architecture is for people. Buildings house human beings, and you should make the building good for the people who are in it, and not just because you like it. And that really stuck with me. When I first started, which was the early 70s, a lot of people were still doing a kind of brutalism, international style type of work, and that didn't appeal a lot to me, didn't appeal a lot to Jim Christopher. We started doing buildings that are, I've been told by other architects, that our buildings are not recognizable as Richardson and Christopher buildings. And I take that as a huge compliment, because they're not for us. The buildings we design are for the people who inhabit them, and we worked on that constantly, be it homes or office buildings or churches or whatever. It just happened that at one point Jim Christopher's partner, Marty Brixton, retired relatively early, and Chris, we all called him Chris, said, "You want to be my partner?" And I said, "You bet." And that just evolved. And as Chris got older and, you know, became a little bit harder for him to do everything, I took on more responsibility. Later in my career, I saw architecture going in a direction I didn't really like. It started getting very slick and very corporate, and in my sense of things, all of the buildings started to look alike. You know, it's a fine piece of architecture, I guess, but it has no personality, it has no sense of itself. I think technology has dramatically impacted the profession. It impacted me. I became an architect because I love to draw, and drawing on a computer is not very interesting. And I refused to use a computer. I kind of learned how, but I never did it. It's very hard to draw something special in a computer. It wants to draw what it knows. It wants to lead you. And you know, I like the idea of taking a pencil and starting with a line and not knowing where it's going to end until you say, yeah, there. Buildings now are very well built, very well designed, but are somewhat featureless. The things like making it ADA accessible and making it energy efficient and all like that, that used to come just as a part of your design as you did it. Its ability to last and still be good looking for a long time, not be trendy. I think it's just buildings that look to be stable and look like they belong there and that they're going to be there a long time. I would say one of the absolute best buildings in the state of Utah is the Capitol. It is a beautifully designed building. It is well constructed, and it just looks like it belongs there forever. I'm really proud that a great number of people who worked in our office went out and started their own offices and became successful architects. Some of the buildings that I'm most proud of, I really am very, very proud of the new geology building at the University of Utah.
The Sutton.
The Sutton building. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud of the little teeny addition that we made to the Emory building that is on the circle at the University of Utah. And it had to get an elevator and some bathrooms and some things like that added to it. And we just didn't want to just stick just anything on this beautiful old building. So we designed a building that was concrete, and we pulled it away from the old building and connected them with a walkway that was done on both sides in reflective glass. So it appears that the old building just keeps on going right through there. And this is a new building that's freestanding. And I'm very happy about that. I was very happy about the Language and Communication building at the University of Utah. It was a big building, a very difficult building, and it had 150 offices in it, plus all the other things university buildings have to have. Very difficult. We did a little building at Westminster called Nunamaker Place. Very small building, but I was very proud of it. It's very dramatic. Right on the south edge of the campus, right by the stream, and there's a bridge. The bridge leads into the building from the parking lot, and it goes over the stream that runs through Westminster. It looks like it might be a chapel, but it's not. It was designed to be a building that could be a place for students to just go and hang out, or to have small conferences, or to have religious services. Not a lot. I had a pretty fortunate career. I sometimes struggled when we had an employee that was not working out. That was the hardest thing I ever had to do, was to let employees go. It didn't happen too often, but oh, I felt so bad. I think I struggled with trying to learn the computer, and I never became good at the computer. I always would work at it for a little while and then just pick up a pencil. I wish I could have been able to pass on the office to someone. When we were ready to let it go, no one really wanted to take it over, and I don't know, I can only think of that as a failing on the part of me and my partner, Andrew. And so that's a regret. I would like to have seen it continue, but it's okay. I think I would tend to tell them to always think about the people that are going to be in your buildings. Think about the people. And if you're in it for the money, go find another job. I would advise people to just try and do things for people, do things that you can be proud of, no matter what it is. Look for opportunities, and whatever you get it, if it's a little ticket kiosk, 10 feet by 10 feet, you make it the best thing you can make it. And that would be my advice. It's a wonderful career. It's not easy. The school was very, very hard. And working up in the profession was quite hard. Spent a lot of long nights. What was hard about it was all the work you had to do. Just to get it right, and to do it over, and no, that's not right, and then you do it over, and that's not quite right. You do it over, that's not right, and that's difficult. But in the end, then you end up being happy with what you did. But it can be a struggle. Working with clients can be strange, but it can be so rewarding. Was working with the geology people at the Sutton building. It was a long, long process, but so enjoyable, and I think they knew that. People would say, "Oh, these halls, it's fun to walk up and down the halls in this building." Wow. I don't know if there's a better compliment you can get as an architect, for people to say, "It's fun to walk up and down the halls."